talk all things nutrition, straight up. I'm one of your hosts, Christina Rice. I'm a holistic health coach, nutritional therapy practitioner in training, and the creator of the Paleo Women Lifestyle Program. You can find me on my website and blog, ChristinaRiceWellness.com, as well as on my other podcast, Wellness Realness.
And I'm your other host, Kara.Halderman. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner from Dallas, Texas, NLP master practitioner and mindset coach, and creator of Kara.It.com. In this podcast, we'll be discussing all things paleo, health, and nutrition, along with answering questions straight from you.
If you'd like to submit a question for us to answer on the podcast, head to straightuppaleo.com or email us at straightuppaleo@gmail.com.
Remember our disclaimer. Materials in this podcast are only to be used as advice and are not to be used in place of general medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
If you want to support the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a rating and a review on iTunes. Enjoy the show!
Hello.
Hey guys.
What's going on? It's your last day in Texas.
It is my last full day. I'll be here half a morning. Travel days are always just like useless days, so tomorrow doesn't count. But I'm very sad because I feel like I am actually in another bubble, and we haven't really like worked. We've done like fun work.
Yeah, I'm actually like kind of proud of you because you usually work like literally all day, even if it's a weekend, and that's not really my jam. And you said that you've had like an actual weekend.
I did. It was really nice. I feel really refreshed, even though I've actually gotten less sleep than I usually do, but I feel way more energized. I think it's because all day I haven't been working. I haven't really like checked my email or anything.
No, you really haven't. Oh, if you're listening to this, like we're still together. Yeah, we're still together. It's just, we have to get in as many as we can while we're together because I feel like it's so much easier when you're in person and conversation flows like so much more,
Yeah, definitely. And we also were just talking about how we both have so much going on the next few months. So if you're not already following along with us, you should be, and we'll tell you everywhere we're going. But we have exciting news because yesterday we decided to start a Straight Up Paleo Instagram account. So you guys should definitely follow it. It's just at Straight Up Paleo.
Yep. Oh my God. We posted... I can't. We posted like the funniest stories on there the other night. Obviously, they're not going to be there anymore. But okay, we were Googling like... Last night we spent like a solid hour Google imaging all of our guests and like seeing all the pictures that popped up. You guys, like if you haven't done that, you have to. It is the most fun thing in the world. Like
we were also playing Marry Date Kill with a bunch of random men in the paleo space. So if you haven't played that game before in that context, you should definitely play it. I'm not giving you any more details.
Yeah, and we're trying to make our Facebook group like more fun and more social, and we posted a pretty hilarious poll in there obviously last week. So if it's still there, like you should go vote. So join our Facebook group. It's Straight Up Paleo Pals. It's always poppin' and always good combos.
Yeah, but I'm very excited about this Instagram account, and we also want to regram a lot of you guys. So if you take a picture that's related to us in any way, whether that just be a really yummy paleo meal or you listening to Straight Up Paleo, whatever, just tag us in the photo itself, not in the caption, because people don't realize that you don't see it when you get tagged just in the caption. It has to be in the actual photo, and use the hashtag Straight Up Paleo, and we'll regram as many people as we can.
Yes. Okay. But one thing we have to address, that cheeseburger pie last night.
Oh my God. Kelly made us the best cheeseburger pie. I always see her making this on our social media. Yeah. And we told her, we said, Kelly, when you come here, you have to make it for us. And she nailed it. She did it really fast too.
Oh my God. No, Kelly we were on our computers, like doing stuff, planning stuff. Things. And all of a sudden we go into the kitchen and literally dinner is made. She made cheeseburger pie, roasted jicama fries, sweet potato fries, made Brussels sprouts all in, I don't even know. Like it took no time at all. So she's the OG and literally I love her. That cheeseburger pie it was life. It was like ground beef with cashew cheese. It's like what dreams are made of, basically.
It was delicious. And okay, so somebody DM'd me and they were like, haha, I almost got fooled, and I was really confused. And I realized it's because they thought we were trying to pass it off as a sweet pie, as like giving someone, oh, here's a pie, and then it has cheeseburger. And I was like, no, it's not a joke. It's just, I mean, people make savory pies. It's like mince pie. That's like a British like beef pie. Like it's basically just, it was a cauliflower crust on the bottom. And then in the center, the filling was beef, and we mixed in bison, and she did herbs. And then she topped it off with a cashew cheese topping and then some caramelized onions. So great meal prep idea.
Solid meal prep. It looked like a pile of poop, but it was delicious. I swear the ugliest meals are the best. They're the absolute best. Okay, well, our food trip is coming to an end per usual, but what else? Like, I don't know if we talked about what our favorite part of the trip was. What was your favorite part?
I'm not sure I have one favorite part. I don't know. I feel like the whole thing was, I think cooking with you guys is fun. And okay, honestly, my favorite part was last night when we were like, that was drunkenly delirious off of cheeseburger pie, and we were Googling everyone, and we played Paleo Would You Rather. That was the best. That was so much fun.
That was the best. I have decision fatigue issues. Like I literally can't make decisions that seem life-threatening to me. So she was asking me questions like one vegetable. You had to live with one vegetable. And I'm like, I can't pick that. That was stressing me out. What do you guys think Christina picked? Of course.
Cauliflower. I'm going to turn into a cauliflower, but I have to tell, okay, so I've been telling Kara, I feel like I'm like ODing on cauliflower. You are. And so after my birthday, I am going to try and tone it down. But there's just not that many other vegetables. I eat it in some form every day, if not at every meal. It's a lot. I don't know. You gotta branch out. There are some weird vegetables out there like, I can't even think. Black. I'm like, black. That's the only one I can think of. I went to the store the other day and I was like, what vegetable have I never had? Black radish. Literally, it looks like a rock. Oh my god. Looks like a rock. You have to tell me how that goes when you eat it. But okay, what updates do you have?
Updates. For me, as I mentioned last time on the podcast, my website's up and I'll probably be posting a couple things here and there, but mainly the big thing is I just put a free resource on there for you guys. It's called the Belief Buster Cheat Sheet, and it's like my top 5 steps on if you have a limiting belief that's holding you back. It's kind of a little guide to do that and what you can do to get over that. That's super important in our healing journey, is addressing our mindset and the beliefs that we have around us, our food, our health, our healing journey. And I think it's something that everyone could use. So I just wanted to give you guys that for free. So you can go to Kara.Aboutit.com. That's my name, Kara.Aboutit.com, and you can do that.
I also just want to put that in a different context for you, just because I feel like people don't really wrap their head around the importance of that. If you've heard that stress is the number one killer, this is true. And this is why so many people can't overcome their health issues, because they're not addressing their stress. I know for me, 80% of my gut issues are from stress. You know, when my SIBO return, my Candida return, it's from stress. And I know that. And that's just, when Kara's talking about switching your mindset, that is how you address the stress. Mm-hmm. And that is something that it really does kill people, because it's so hard to address, because people don't even know what to do. So these are actionable steps you can take, that she's teaching you these techniques to help you address that which is so intangible to us. She's making it tangible. So that's why that is super important.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, because we don't even realize it, but like half of the things that we're thinking to ourselves and like the thoughts and beliefs that we have are actually stress-inducing beliefs. Like, think about it. If all day long you're thinking about how unhealthy you are and how you're never going to heal, and like you have this belief that you're just stuck in your illness, think about how stressful that is. You're probably so used to it by now because you've been thinking this way for who knows how long. But every time you think that way, that's inducing like a cortisol response in your body. And that's a stressor. So if we don't change those beliefs that you've had for who knows how long, you're just going to keep inducing stress, and stress accumulates over time and creates more and more issues. So that's just like a background on how your mindset can literally manifest physical issues. So yeah, I just made a quick little cheat sheet on some of my top tips. But I find that a lot more people need in-depth help, and especially on the accountability side of things with mindset. I feel like it's easy for us to work on our food. It's easy for us to change our diet. But when it comes to, maybe not easy, but for most, that's the easiest part. But when it comes to changing our mindset, that's something we've had since we were like born, like since day one. And that's so hard. And a lot of us need accountability. So I'm just opening up my schedule to a couple clients, not very many. So spots are limited. And if you really feel like you're ready to take your health and mindset to the next level, just reach out to me. My email is on my Instagram, Kara.Halderman@gmail.com. So that's about it. But you also have announcements.
I do. And I also just want to say that can be something that's really powerful. We talk about getting support in your healing journey. I know for me, I wouldn't be able to, heal without support of a team around me. And so there have been, some of my clients are also working with Kara. So you get both of those different sides of it. So because Kara really knows a lot with her NLP expertise. So it's about building that team. So that can be something, if you feel like you have somebody who's helping you in other ways, but you want to really focus on that. It's about, kind of collecting this group of people. Like I know for me, I had my nutritionist and my psychologist and my acupuncturist, and I felt like they all kind of overlapped, but they also all kind of specialized in different things. And I don't think if I had all those different people holding me accountable, I would have kind of really made it through everything.
And that is super important. And I'm like a really big believer that you should never, maybe in the beginning you need one practitioner to really help you and give you guidance. But over time, as you learn more about yourself, I think it's important to seek out different opinions of different people, because you're never really going to learn that much if you just focus on working with one person forever. So that's why branching out and getting a mindset coach or accountability coach, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, whatever, just to add to your toolbox can be super helpful. And that's also why joining programs is a really good idea too, because with Christina's program, you get access to her, but you also get to learn from all the other people in her program. And I know that her program is about to reopen.
Yes. So it's almost going to be closed when this comes out. So I opened up signups on the 9th, and definitely not keeping them later than the 16th or 17th open because, I think class starts on the 16th. So I need my calendar in front of me. So I'm not keeping these open past the 13th or 14th because everything's going to go up on the 16th. But if spots are full, then they might be closed. But if they're not already closed, head to bit.ly/Paleo Women Lifestyle. So this program is 5 weeks worth of modules. We cover a different topic each week, but you have access to this content forever. Once you're in the group, you have it forever. And the content is weekly PDFs, video lectures, audio lectures with me. You get a ton of information. You know me. If you've ever read one of my blog posts, you get a lot of information. So, and you can either follow along with the pace that I set out for the group, or you can take it at your own pace. A lot of the girls just kind of did it at their own pace because it is a lot of videos. And if you have other stuff going on, totally get it. But you also get live video group coaching calls with me. So me, you, all the other women in the program get on the live coaching call. If you can't make it, that's totally fine. I record all of them. You can go watch them later. And they're also always at different times. I take polls in the Facebook group to see when the most people can come. So if there's one day a week that you can never make it, you're bound to make at least one. And I do those live coaching calls forever. Once you're in the group, I'm always continuously doing them, even when new groups aren't in. So you can ask me anything you want. We can all interact. We can all talk to each other, see each other, meet each other over the internet. And then the Facebook group, of course, is always available to you to ask any questions, share ideas, share articles. We just talk about random things in there. It really helps with the accountability. We're doing our sleep accountability, and I love seeing what all the foods people try, and we get meal ideas. We have a big document where we share all of our favorite recipes. So a lot of good information. You'll learn about nutrition, about exercise, lifestyle, sleeping and movement and sunlight and all of those things. And we talk about body image, and we talk about dealing with family and friends. So it's very all encompassing, just everything you need to know to live a healthy lifestyle and all of those. We also talk a lot about Instagram lives and things people see on social media. Yeah. And I think they're part of their favorite, We I'll go on a rant for like an extra hour, I swear. Basically. And those, yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And if there's anything you just wanted to ask me, like that's, it's your time one-on-one. You can ask as many things as you want. So really great deal, especially if you feel like you can't afford one-on-one coaching. You're getting so much value because you're in the group. You're in there forever. You always have access to me and everybody else in the group, and you'll make a lot of friends. So I'm very excited about this program. It's like my favorite part of my job besides podcasting, of course. So I would love to have you in there, and you can sign up on my website or bit.ly/Paleo Women Lifestyle, and the link will be in the show notes. And I'm very excited to start this next round. Spring.
Okay, great. Yay, I'm super excited for you. And I mean, I am one of Christina's biggest advocates for her programs, and for all of her clients. As you guys know, she takes it super seriously and loves you guys a lot. So I think it'd be a very great investment in your health. Yeah.
You should guest video call sometime.
Dude, I'm down.
Teach some energy clearing techniques. We could all use that.
Yes. Oh my God. Everyone needs energy clearing techniques, dude. Okay. But speaking of like things that are helping us, I'm really excited because I am finally getting my new order of Somnifix in.
Oh, yes. You needed it. You were out for like 2 weeks.
Well, I thought that I was out, but then, okay, so I keep my Somnifix. I have this little nightstand and there's a little drawer, and God, I'm a hoarder. And I keep like 6 books in that drawer. I keep my blue blocker glasses in that drawer. And then for some reason that drawer is filled with Somnifix wrappers because I'm lazy, and like at night I put them on in the dark, and then I'm just like, where do I put this wrapper? And I just shove it in this one drawer. So I thought that I was out because the box was empty. But the other night, not last night, the other night, I found one straggler Somnifix unopened, and I was super happy, but I officially ran out yesterday, and it was really sad. Last night I had to sleep without it. I mean, I slept good. I slept good, but I did wake up a couple times during the night, and that's not cool because my Somnifix is one of the only things that really does not help me wake up during the night, and like I never have to pee.
It helps you not wake up during the night.
Oh yeah, it helps me not wake up during the night. I never have to wake up to pee. I don't like toss and turn because I'm a huge tosser and turner, and I really think that's because we're not breathing through our mouths. I can't tell you how many times I've woken up in the middle of the night and caught myself like mouth breathe, like my mouth like.
Wow. Now that we know, we're aware of it, but before I never thought about that.
No.
Yeah. And you know what I started to do to help with that was I had the same issue. I don't have like having all the wrappers next to my bed. So I just keep it in the bathroom now, right next to the trash can. So like, because I always pee right before I go to bed. So I go in there, and as I'm going into the bathroom, I put it on my mouth and then throw it away, pee, and then get in bed. And then I don't have the wrapper problem anymore.
Wow. Okay. Well, you just saved me from putting wrappers in my drawer.
Keep it in the bathroom. No, it's seriously like, Kara and I have talked about this before, but if you are somebody who can't get the number of hours you should be getting, at least make sure the hours that you are getting of sleep are quality, and that's where this can really, really help. So it's much better to have 5 to 6 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep than it is to have even 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, because you still won't wake up feeling rested. And I know sleep is something that a lot of people struggle with, and I can't even tell you guys, the testimonials we've been receiving from people are incredible. They're so amazing. And this is something, I mean, everybody should be using it. It's like finding a really good toothbrush. Like, why aren't you using it? So if you haven't tried mouth taping, you have to give your body a chance to get acclimated. It could take a few days, a few weeks, but after you get acclimated, it's so worth it to be sleeping well for the rest of your life, basically. And there's a little breathable vent in front of the Somnifix, so you can kind of part your lips and breathe through. You're not going to be claustrophobic. I also recommend, if you're nervous about it, maybe the first night you get it, put it on a few hours before you go to bed and just hang out with it on. Yeah. So you get used to it, and maybe you don't even wear it to sleep that night. You just try it out during the day when you're awake, so you know you won't, and you'll be surprised how it'll probably make you really calm if you do it like that. And then give your body a chance to test it out, and you will turn into a nose breather, we promise.
Oh my God. Yeah. We've been talking about how we need a shirt that says nose breather on it. Exactly. You guys get it instead of mouth breather. Yeah. Okay. But yes. And we're really proud to have Somnifix as a partner and of this podcast. Like, we absolutely love them, and we would not promote companies that we don't love ourselves. So you can get a discount if you just go buy them like on Amazon, look for Somnifix, and you can get 10% off with our code SUPSLEEP. So yeah, go buy some. It will change your freaking life. But I feel like I've actually nailed down my sleep routine now. Like, I feel like I have the perfect trifecta.
What is it?
Of my sleep routine. So what I do is first of all, I turn off like mostly all of my electronic devices at least an hour before I go to bed. I get in bed, I take some magnesium, I put on my blue blockers, I put on my Somnifix, and now I have this EMF little.
Oh my God.
And now my dad bought me this like EMF blocker type machine, and I swear, like, I have never slept better in my whole entire life. It is the best combination ever. I'm turning into a mini sleep biohacker. I'm obsessed, but those are like my favorite products in the world. They've helped me so much.
When I'm wearing my blue blockers with my Somnifix mouth tape, I feel so cool, and it's so funny because I was trying to decide which picture to post for my Somnifix, and I was debating between one with my blue blockers on and without, and I was like, this is too extra. I can't have my blue blockers on and that. But I think that, why don't you explain a little bit more about EMFs for people who maybe don't know what we're talking about?
So EMFs are like electromagnetic frequencies, and they're byproduct frequencies of all of the electronics we have around us. And like literally your phone, your computer, your TV. One of the biggest ones is Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is everywhere. As you guys know, you always search for it when you're out all the time. And these EMF waves are incredibly disruptive to our circadian rhythm. And they've actually been shown in studies to be like disruptive at a cellular level. They cause stress responses in the body, even to our cells. And if you think about it, we're constantly surrounded by EMFs all the time. I don't think there's ever a time period in our life where we're just free from that, unless you live kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But even then, you still have Wi-Fi and you live by cell towers. And this is something that we haven't like experienced. This is new for us. All this electronic stuff and cell towers and Wi-Fi within the past even 50 to 100 years. So just think about how much of an impact that really has on our body. And I know that for me, having, like, we're not sponsored by this little device, FYI.
I wish.
I know.
If you're listening, I'm open to it.
Yeah, I'm open, because I thought this was placebo effect at first, this little EMF blocker machine thingy that I have. It's pocket sized. You can carry it around anywhere. But I've noticed just an overall reduction in anxiety, and highly sensitive people like myself tend to be more sensitive to EMFs. So if you have this overarching sense of like anxiousness and anxiety, then I'm not even lying, it could be like an EMF sensitivity type of thing, and it's just disruptive to you. So ever since I've had this, it's totally chilled me out and like calmed me down and really helped with my sleep. And I love it. You can also just turn your phone on airplane mode when you're not using it. That can also help.
Yeah. Why don't you also talk about what you've been doing with Instagram? I think people would like an update on that, on your Instagram break, and how you've been feeling, what you're planning on doing, all of that.
Yeah. So I took, as you know, an Instagram break. I just deleted my app from my phone for probably like 6 or 7 days. I didn't post. I checked it once or twice, and it completely it like brought me back to myself. Because when we stare at our phones all day long, we're looking at other people, and it kind of makes us distant from who we really are, because we're constantly comparing. Or even if we try to not compare, it's kind of inevitable. It just happens, and we're being influenced by others 24/7. And you never get that time to recharge and reconnect with yourself and who you are and what you want to post and what you want to be and what content you want to put out there. So I took that week really to myself to figure that out. And it was probably the best week I've had in months. I feel totally recharged and so much more inspired to post the content that I want. And I think that even if you're not a content creator, if you're just somebody looking to improve your health, it is something that is worth doing, because you're probably stressed out just looking at your phone and constantly comparing. Like, I know we answered a question on the last podcast about a girl who struggled with like eating disorder type tendencies and exercise addiction type tendencies, and looking at these Fitspo people on Instagram stressed her out and made her feel like she needs to be something else other than what she really wants to be. So it's a good opportunity for you to take a step back and recharge. But now that I kind of did that, I did like a complete detox. I feel like I'm more able now to just download the app when I want to post and then delete it. I don't need to be on it scrolling 24/7 all the time, but I feel like I have a much better, more healthier relationship with Instagram. So I think it's a great thing to do. Would you ever do that?
Well, I mean, I've done that.
Oh, you have?
Well, I mean, when I was going through all my health stuff, I feel like I'm in a different, I mean, I think what you're going through, like I see everybody go through, like I've been through that stage, you know? I think for me now it's more of like, what you have to recognize is even if you're not comparing what you're seeing on Instagram, like I went through that when I felt like the comparison thing. And like, now that I realize everything on Instagram is a lie, I don't really deal with that. And I also learned, because I used to have the issue where when I was creating content, I was trying to see what everyone else is doing to like, you know, you want to see what other people in your space are doing. And then it took me a long time to figure out that my best bet is to not look at anything anyone else is doing who's similar to me, because that was just hampering my own creativity, because I would overthink it. And what would happen is I would have an idea and I'd be planning a post and I write a post, and then before I had a chance to publish it, someone else did something kind of similar. And I'd be like, never mind, I can't post it. Why would I post it when they did it too? And you just have to be like, there are so many people in this world, and everybody's there's no original idea. I'm sorry. Like, no, you know, so there's always going to be an iteration, but that's why it's just easier to just like kind of block it all out and be like, I'm just posting what I want to post, and I'm better off blissfully ignorant of what everyone else is doing in my space. I think for me now, the issue is more, I mean, this is part of my business now, so I can't completely shut it out. But for me, it's more of like, all the data that's coming into me. So like I've been taking a lot of steps to try and work on just all the information going into my brain at once. So for me, that's only answering my emails certain times versus like only once to twice a day at a certain hour versus just whenever a new email pops up, or with my text messages. If, you know, my friends who are listening hate me now because I only answer my texts for like 2 hours a day, unless it's something business related, or like, you know, I took texts off my phone. I mean, off my computer, not my phone. You know, putting my phone in a different room, just like eliminating the data. And like, I don't scroll through Instagram all day long. I only look at it twice during the day, and I have like allotted time periods, and that helped me a lot. So things like that, where I'm just like limiting the amount of data for me, that's from all social media apps and email, and, you know, instead of just kind of like letting my brain go in. I mean, think of just every post you see as just a piece of information. We weren't designed to be like flooded with information left and right. You know, someone's dinging your phone, I mean, they show brain scans of people now, and just like how we are always on hyper alert mode. We are always stressed out. And even when we think we're not, just because we have this underlying anxiety now of when's the next notification going to pop up? You know, when's this next little ding of instant gratification, this dopamine going to pop up? We are becoming desensitized because we've been like overexposed to it. So just something to think about in your own life. I don't know how we just kind of went off on a tangent, but it's fine. But I think that's important to talk about.
No, it's super important. And exactly what you said earlier like about where I am, like versus where you are, is totally true. And I keep having to remind myself I'm only 23, and no matter what age you are, you don't have to have your whole life figured out right now. And it's, even if you are trying, like I'm trying to figure things out, like I'm in that mode where I'm trying new things, I'm figuring things out, what I want to do. And just having that constant stimulus, like you said, is not going to help you figure out who you are and what you should be doing. Because like she said, if you want to make like a post about a paleo whatever, like you make a recipe, but then you get on Instagram and you see someone else did the exact same thing and you're like,
I guarantee you they did. I can guarantee you they did.
Yeah, of course they did. But then but that post feels authentic to you. Like that's something that you want to post, but then you see someone else do it and you go, oh, well, never mind. That shuts you down. Like that shuts your creativity down. And that was the one thing. It's helped me spark new ideas and creative like flow and motion. So I'm just really happy I did it.
It also shuts you down the other way too. Like, for me, it's like, what I'm talking about. Like people like I will make something super original and then I know someone copied it from me and I see it after. And it really makes me mad that they don't say, oh, this was inspired by something I saw. And I just need to get over it, honestly. But it does shut you down because it makes me feel like, why do I work so hard to try and come up with things that are so weird and creative if someone else is going to like steal it? And especially, this is the hard part. It's especially hard when it's people that you think are your friends and they just act like they didn't rip you off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's always going to happen. And it's like, how are we responding to when it happens and like working on that? Like that's something I'm always working on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's really important to talk about because even if you're not in the Instagram world, this is applicable just everything in life. If you have friends on Facebook, I know you're scrolling through Facebook comparing what you did or you're seeing what people are doing on Snapchat. And you're thinking, oh, it would be so fun doing like, why am I in on a Friday night and they're out, literally. So it's, or in business, when we compare ourselves in business to where somebody else is too, we're not them. It's just applicable in every aspect of life, I think.
Yeah, I could literally talk about this topic for a whole entire episode. So, I mean, maybe we will one day in the future. But we do have questions to get to, which I'm super pumped about. So let's just go ahead and dive into the first question. Alrighty, this is from Julia. She said, hey ladies, love your show. I've learned so much listening to you. I'm wondering if you can give some specific advice about balancing estrogen and lowering cortisol while having high insulin resistance. I'm a former competitor and lost my cycle for 2 years from ages 24 to 26. After losing my cycle, I stopped training so intensely and restricting to get back to a healthy BMI. After gaining 30 pounds after my competition, I got my period back twice, but haven't gotten a third since the time going paleo. I've gained weight since starting paleo, most of it in my abdomen, and I can't seem to lose it. I'm stuck in a limbo of wanting to lose weight because I know my insulin resistance is really bad and I'm inflamed, but I'm afraid of losing weight because I haven't gotten my cycle back yet. I currently strength train 3 times a week and get 7 to 10K steps a day, practice yoga and meditation to lower my cortisol, but I'm stuck as what to do next. I just don't recognize my body. This may be too complicated for this show, but I appreciate any insight I can get. And she says, thanks. So I think this is actually common, maybe not like the fact that you're like a competitor. There are a lot of competitors out there, but just this imbalance of like, it sounds like you have higher estrogen, like, and higher cortisol, and you have insulin resistance. So that just kind of sounds like what's going on based on your question. And as you know, that is just like the biggest byproduct of stress that you can get. And it sounds like you've been working on it, but I don't think you need to give up because this isn't something that like 2 months of meditation and yoga is going to fix. And like just changing your workout routine for 2 months, you may see a little bit of results within that 2 months, but like hormones are tough. Like they take a little bit of time and they take a lot of dedication. I know for me, it took me years. I've talked about this before, but my cortisol, it went from being extremely high to absolutely flatlined, which is a cycle of quote unquote adrenal fatigue. And it took me a year to get from flatlined cortisol and like zero hormones to a normal, probably a year and a half, to a normal cortisol pattern. But now I'm still dealing with like estrogen dominance type stuff. So hormones are always in ebb and flow, and you just need to stay consistent for as long as possible and really get to know like your body and when you feel stressed out. And I think that one thing that's really stressing you out is your weight right now. The fact that you've gained weight, and I think you're like kind of okay with it by what you're saying, but you're also not okay with it because you said that you're feeling inflamed. I think we talked about this on a previous episode, but coming to acceptance with where you are right now. I don't think you're at acceptance because you say, I don't recognize my body. And that's a really tough place to be when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize who you are anymore, and like physically as a physical person. But you need to remember that like who you are physically and what you look like physically is a byproduct of what's going on internally, both mentally and like internally with your organs and your hormones, and also spiritually. We have to remember that all of those things are related. So when you don't recognize your body physically, I think you need to get in touch with yourself mentally and really reconnect with yourself in that aspect. That's something I really just preach. So I would really work on accepting who you are right now and kind of like keep doing what you're doing and just being consistent with it, because over time, I think you'll see more benefit.
Yeah, I second all of that. And okay, this thing, she said this may be too complicated for the show. All of these things are complicated, but let's, I know when you're in the situation, it can feel so overwhelming because you're just like, where do I start? Like, let's break it down and start from the root of it. And I see this, what you're saying is something I hear with almost every single person who I work with. And Kara is right. What I see at the root of this, where I'm like, where are we starting, is your body image and your relationship with yourself. Because to me, that sounds like a main source of stress to you. And, this is the thing. I hear this over and over. Somebody says, I've gained X amount of pounds since then, and I still don't have a regular period. I gained all the weight. Why isn't it back? Okay. We need to throw out the scale. I don't care how many pounds you gained. Like, let's throw it out. We are judging our state of health based on how our bodies are functioning, not our gravitational, the earth, our gravitational pull to the earth. Like, that doesn't matter. Let's throw out the scale and I'm oversimplifying this, but the goal is to basically detach your self-worth and your health from a number, from that scale, or from how your body works. And I know that this is something that stood out to me in this question. And she says, I've gained weight since starting paleo, which I just want to add is probably a function of paleo helping you to heal. Oftentimes in the healing process, we do gain weight. Considering your background, not everybody's who's healing. You know what I'm saying? And most of it in your abdomen, but I can't seem to lose it. Okay. This is something that everybody gets tripped up on. Everybody says, I gained the weight and I gained it all in my belly. This happens to everybody. You're gaining it in your belly because like, this is common, just so you know, this happens to everybody. This happened to me. Did this happen to you, Kara?
Not to me, because I have estrogen issues. It's just my body.
Okay. Happened to me. It happens to everybody. But when you have cortisol issues, belly fat, belly weight gain, first of all, you have to, the first thing to recognize is, what are you trying to compare that against? These images of people with perfectly straight washboard. Yeah. Like 6-pack abs is not realistic. Like, that person probably doesn't have a period, but so part of it might be you're comparing it to something unrealistic, but even if you're not, you gotta just learn to not give a shit about it at this point, because that's just the process of healing. And when you have high cortisol, your weight gain is going to go straight to your belly. That's what it's at. And it's this vicious cycle because people are gaining weight and then they're stressed out about the weight gain, and then it's going to make them gain more weight in their bellies, but as soon as you do that inner work to work on your body image and like what you derive your self-worth from, this is where it's going to start to even out. And, you know, you're saying you practice yoga and meditation to lower your cortisol. Guess what? Yoga, meditation, all the adaptogens in the world aren't just going to heal your cortisol. It takes, like Kara mentioned, a long time and a lot of work. And this is where I want to say, this is where you could use some outside support. This is a lot of inner, like emotional work. So whether that means doing something like mindset coaching with Kara, or joining my program, or working with me, or working with a therapist, or, you know, learning to journal, deep journal. Like if you're going to, like, journaling is really powerful, but you have to commit and do it and be 100% raw and honest and real with yourself. That's the only way it's really going to work. But you got to get to the root of your emotional health and your mental health and address that. And that's really going to be the key to it. You know, it's not just taking these actions. You know, these Instagrammers can tell you they did yoga and meditation and their cortisol went down. It's not that easy. It doesn't just work like that. It's this inner shift. So that is the most important thing in terms of mindset. And then just actionable steps. It's like, I know it feels like a lot's going on, but you can do all of this at once. So that's my number one thing. Focus on the body image. Like, we got to stop caring about how many pounds you gained. It's not about a number. It's about when are you healthy again? And the way your body works does not define how people are going to, how much they're going to love you, or like your personality. Like, that's not why people like you. They like you because you're smart, you're funny, or you're kind, you're courageous. Mm-hmm. You have something else to offer. It's not just how flat your stomach is.
And I think a lot of this is stemming from, I don't know how long you were a competitor and what you competed in, but when they say like, I'm a former competitor, that makes me think of bodybuilding, like fitness competitions. I could be totally wrong, but when you're an athlete in any sport whatsoever, I feel like body image and what you look like is a huge thing, like no matter what. So I think you grew up like competing with others about your body, and you're not overall comfortable with the weight that you've gained. So I think a lot of this comes from just like past experiences with body image. So you're breaking that, like you're in that cycle right now. The fact that you've gained 30 pounds and that you're like on this journey of health, you're breaking that. But you have to remember that you came from a period of really caring about what your body looked like.
Absolutely. And it also, if she is saying like bodybuilder competitor, because I mean, it could be, I don't know what kind of competitor necessarily, but if it is bodybuilding, or even just when you're a high level athlete, I'm going to be blunt. This is the price of that, you know? So, you know, we see people doing bodybuilding competitions or being really high level athletes, and people compare themselves to, they can run however many miles and they're fine. And I say, okay, maybe first of all, they're probably not fine right now. You lost your cycle for 2 years, so you weren't fine then. But even if somebody is fine during that time when they are competing at this high level, their body pays for it later on. So unfortunately, these are the repercussions. This is the aftermath, and now we got to deal with it. But just so people understand who maybe are comparing themselves to these people who are competitors, you have to understand everybody pays the price at some point. Like we can't put our bodies under these intense extremes and then not expect them to fight us for it later on. So that is sort of just kind of what happens. I also want to say though, so let's work on that, but let's also, in terms of the insulin resistance, so you're eating paleo, what to do to manage your insulin resistance. I mean, don't go crazy with the carbs. You don't have to eliminate carbs, but I would not go crazy with it. I think it's good to make your breakfast focusing on protein and fat, and then, you know, a serving of carbs with your other meals. But it's make sure that you get protein and fat every time you eat is my number one thing, to balance your blood sugar. And I think that, like, because you can work on that at the same time. And insulin resistance is also associated with the weight gain in your belly as well. It's all of these things are linked together: the cortisol, the insulin resistance, the balancing, the estrogen. Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I mean, just being straight up, I think a low carb diet could help. Yeah, but like what Christina said, like not mega, like you don't need to go keto.
Yeah, that was my point. Like you should go lower carb, I would think would help, but you don't have to eliminate them.
And if you're a former competitor in any form, you're probably used to like food for performance. So you probably, I don't know if this is true, you probably ate a lot of carbohydrates. And maybe that overdose of carbohydrates plus the overdose of stress plus the body image plus all of that, it resulted in this insulin resistance issue. So I think that going a little bit lower carb and like amping up that protein, amping up the fat, make sure you're getting the micronutrients, because that's a really big deal here too. So, tons of your dark leafy green vegetables in as many colors as you can get. I think that's super, super important. Just focusing on nutrient density and kind of like take the focus off of macros for a little bit and focus on your micros, because you're not using food for performance anymore. You're done with that. You're using food for health. So take your mind away from macros and focus on your micros. And I think that can be said for like everyone. Honestly, like I think that can be said from everyone. But it looks like you're going through like a huge life change. You're not a competitor. Your body is changing, so your food can't stay the same. You have to change that too. But food-wise, that's kind of what I would do. I mean, also with the cortisol thing, like I don't know how much caffeine you're drinking, but we don't talk about this a lot, but don't like, like if you have really high cortisol and estrogen, caffeine does not help your estrogen or your cortisol. That's one thing that that's like the last thing that I can't give. Like caffeine is so hard for everyone, but even just taking baby steps to lower, and then eliminate, that will really be able to help. Also with balancing your estrogen, I don't know how your bowel movements are, but you need to be pooping every single day, because estrogen, if you're not pooping every single day, it can just start to recirculate back into your system.
Yes.
It's that, yeah. So you need to poop every day. So focus on gut health. Once again, getting all your vegetables in and fat and protein so things can be moving, drinking tons of water. Also, if like you are going to the bathroom every single day, like you're having great bowel movements, then maybe look at like liver type of support, because most of your estrogen is processed and packaged up in the liver. And then what happens is like it's basically bound to stuff, these chemicals or whatever, and then bile helps transport that estrogen into fecal matter, and then you poop it out. But if your liver is, I don't know the word, congested, I guess, so to speak, or you have like a detox pathway that's clogged, or maybe you even have like a genetic type of mutation that doesn't support good detox in the liver, like MTHFR type stuff, then that's something to address. And that's when I would say work with a practitioner to figure out what's going on with the liver. But you can find all those like liver detox teas, and like even just incorporating stuff like that could possibly make a difference in your liver health. So that's what I would look at.
Yeah, milk thistle tea, great for that liver. Yeah, I think it tastes so good. Like Kara said, so make sure you're getting that mag in, because magnesium helps. It helps with the pooping, with can help with the estrogen, also insulin resistance. Another thing that you could look into is inositol. People with really bad insulin resistance will often, that can help. I was on that for a while. That helped me a lot. So I would check that out. And then also related to the estrogen, the hormone balancing, I think Kara pretty much covered it with, the food and supporting liver and pooping. Also, pooping make sure, important. I've run into this a few times. I've had clients who have estrogen dominance and they're eating so much flaxseed, and I'm like, why are you eating phytoestrogens? So I'd pay attention to that. And then also looking at the estrogens in your environment. There are so many of these in our environment, these endocrine disruptors. What products are you using on your skin and your hair? What are you, even coming down to like, do you store your food in plastic or glass? All of these things can disrupt our hormones. And I think now is the time to sort of get picky about products you're using, and things that are going on your body go into your body and affect your hormone balancing. And also curious if you what you're doing for birth control kind of. So I would check into that as well. Those are my last thoughts.
Yeah. I think we covered it.
I think
we covered it.
Also, just shout out to myself. I have a really killer balancing hormones module in my program. So could be the place for you to learn all about balancing them hormones.
Oh my God. Sorry. I just shout out to myself for all my great resources.
I worked so hard on that.
No, I believe you. It's probably a really good module, honestly. I actually do have one more point to make. So when I look at things from all angles, like your hormones as well, you have to remember that like there's also an energetic aspect to this. So you're in what seems to be very, I don't want to say male dominated, but the energy of what you're doing, competing, maybe restricting food, like all of that is very male dominated energy. And you're doing that for a very long time. So you don't have a period. Periods are very, that is female energy. That's embracing who you are as a woman. And you don't have that. So it seems like energetically, you are very male dominated right now. High cortisol is also kind of related to male energy because it's very go, go, go. So I would encourage you to embrace more feminine sides of yourself and do things that are more feminine to you, little that are softer, not as hard. I know you like lifting, I love lifting. I do that all the time. And like you said, you're doing yoga and meditation. That's good. I think keep that up because that embraces more of the balance of female energy. So start focusing on that. I don't know what other things you would do to embrace being a girl. It kind of depends on who you are and what kind of woman you are. But for me, even sometimes I hate putting makeup on, but sometimes just doing my hair and makeup and making myself look really pretty kind of embraces who I am as a woman. I don't know why, but that really helps me and makes me feel like a girl again, getting all dressed up, but just embracing that side of you as well. That's all I got.
All right. I think we nailed it. Should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is from Leslie. She has a question that she thinks I would be very helpful with. Thank you. I hope I can help you. So she says, I have Candida overgrowth and I'm on my second protocol to get it taken care of. My FMD put me on oil of oregano and FC Cidal, and now I'm using a rotational antimicrobial protocol. Throughout both protocols, I have been extremely diligent in avoiding all forms of sugar. I don't even eat carrots for the time being. Something that is concerning me, however, is I have heard on a couple of different podcasts that just by simply eating too much at a time can contribute to Candida overgrowth. I'm definitely not in the 80% full category of eaters. I eat until I'm definitely full. Hell yeah. I roast a boatload of veggies and don't try limiting myself at all with the amount of olive oil I use to enjoy them. Do you think veggie portion matters? Does the amount of extra virgin olive oil matter? Christina, I know that you have successfully fought and beat Candida overgrowth, and I would really love your input on this. Thanks. Also would love to know what supplements are helpful for you when you're fighting Candida. I didn't hear you mention specifics on the podcast or in your blog post. Okay. So many thoughts. First of all, I'm going to address the last question about what supplements I used. I'm not going to tell you, and this is something I don't put out. And a lot of people ask me this. I really, really don't like when practitioners basically put out protocols on the internet because it gets people into trouble, because as soon as you do that, someone's going to take it and mess themselves up. Everybody is individual, and what worked for me is going to be different than what works for you based on what I've used in the past and, what's working with my body. And I also have a specific approach I take, and I like to rotate things. And Kara and I have both seen it where we get clients and they have basically screwed themselves up because they go online and they find a protocol to heal something that they think of as really harmless, even if it's Candida, or if I see people try and heal SIBO themselves, or because it's out there on the internet and they just try and do it themselves and they get messed up. So this is where having someone tell you specifically what works for you is going to be best. And this is why I don't tell people my supplement protocol because it doesn't matter what mine was. It matters what yours needs to be, and someone will tell you that for yourself. So that's my thoughts on that. So anybody else, a lot of people ask me that. I'm not going to tell you what I did because I know people just compare. So that's my deal with that. Okay, let's talk about, let me start from the top. So you're taking your antimicrobials. I also want to, so you've been very diligent in avoiding all forms of sugar. I don't even eat carrots for the time being. So this is one thing I want to entertain the idea of. I'm not sure, I guess, because it's hard because I don't know exactly what you're eating, but this is something that is debated. But there are things being said that ketones may or may not feed Candida. I believe that being in ketosis was feeding my Candida. And this seems to be more of an issue with people who kind of have a problem of recurring Candida overgrowth. Versus, this is why a lot of times somebody who just has Candida, they can go on the super low carb diet, high fat, high protein, and maybe they are or aren't in ketosis, but sometimes they end up being in ketosis and they kill it, and it works for a short time. But the longer you're doing that, maybe that eventually leads you into being ketosis, and then that ketones can feed Candida in some cases. So if you search that, you'll find information about that. I know Paul Jaminet, Mark Sisson have written things about that. I believe Mark Hyman has as well. There's a bunch of different things. Leanne Vogel has a podcast about it with Ricky Heller. If you want to learn more about that, it's not true for everybody. People definitely have gotten rid of Candida while they're in ketosis. But if this is a recurring problem for you, this is something I would address. So, because, I used to think with my protocols, like as the stricter I was, the better off I was. And I have learned that that's not necessarily the case. So I was like you, I didn't eat carrots. I didn't eat a touch of starch or sugar or fruit or anything. And it did not work. It worked for me the first time, and the second time I tried to do the same thing and gave me more problems, and ended up giving me more problems because of it's also overlapping with the long-term effects in general of being low carb for too long, especially as a female. And if this is stressing your body out in any way, Candida is caused from cortisol and stress. So that's going to feed your Candida too. So we also want to, what is stressing you out? If this diet is stressing you out, that's feeding your Candida just as much as your starch would, to be honest. So let's keep that in mind. I would look into that. If you are doing keto, if you're being that strict, that might not necessarily be helping you. And then, so you roast a lot of veggies and you're worried about portions and olive oil. Okay. I want to bring it back to, are you eating enough protein? Just because that is good for satiety, and you might not want as many veggies if you're eating way more protein. And when you have Candida, that's kind of like the one safe macro, honestly. Protein's not going to feed your Candida. Too much fat could, and too many veggies maybe could. And this is something I have looked into a lot, and there's a lot of back and forth, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have a clear answer on do too many veggies, feed it. But I'm going to tell you, I think maybe it could. I don't think people should be having more than 3 to 4 cups at a meal, max. So some people might think that sounds like a ton of vegetables. Some people might not. But I would keep it to that. And if you're hungry beyond that, I would add more protein to your meals. Overeating in general can cause blood sugar spikes. We talked about this with the Chinese restaurant effect. It can cause insulin responses. It can cause stress on the body to break all that down, all that fiber. Non-starchy veggies are different than starchy vegetables, but also it's almost like if you are craving all of these veggies, your body is telling you that because it wants something else. So maybe your body's looking for a carb. Like maybe if you start reintroducing a starchy carb every once in a while, that would help mitigate that. Or maybe it just wants more food and it's looking for more protein. So I would see how that sort of affects it. I do think that portions do matter, but not that you have to like limit it super low. Does that make sense? It's a complicated topic, and this is something that's debated, and you'll see people go both ways. And you know me, I like to eat so many vegetables, but I definitely do think that I think that had I eaten less vegetables, I would have healed faster. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you honestly covered everything that I had to say. I think you'll hear people say, it doesn't matter. Portion sizes don't matter. They do. Portion sizes do matter to an extent.
It depends who you're talking to. So our population is different.
Yes. But they do matter to an extent, okay? Yeah. Like overdoing anything is going to cause problems, and underdoing anything is going to cause problems. And especially when there is some sort of overgrowth in the intestines, like portion size of vegetables may matter there. So I think just listen to what Christina said and like focus on protein, get your fat in there. Like it's fine. I wouldn't like super worry about the EVOO like just yet. And then if you feel like you actually need a carbohydrate, then get the freaking carb, like eat it. That's what she was talking about with the ketones feeding Candida. There's also like this other theory that if you're restricting your carbohydrates, then the organism or whatever like goes into hiding because it doesn't have anything to feed off of anymore. And if it's smart and if it's resistant, which it sounds like in your case, it goes into hiding because it's just gonna sit there and wait for the next opportunity, but it's strong enough because it's lasted through the first infection that it can stay there. So what it's looking for is a carbohydrate. And if you're not feeding that sugary carbohydrate to the infection, it's not going to come out, and the antimicrobials can't attack it. Or can't find it. So this is just a theory. There's tons of theories out there, and there are other things that say the opposite, that you need to just reduce all carbs and hit it with the antimicrobials. And I think it actually, like, they both work. You just have to figure out which one works for you. So I would like maybe bring that up to your practitioner. If he's an open practitioner, or she, whoever, then I think they would be willing to hear you out. And we see that on people like that do low FODMAP type diets for a really long time, and their infections never go away. Like they get the symptom relief from not eating the FODMAPs, but the infection, like when they start to reintroduce them, comes back. So that could be the case here. You never know. So just bring that up to your practitioner and see.
I agree. And it's the same idea. This is why I get so irritated when I see what most doctors are putting their patients on with SIBO. This is a huge one. 95% of practitioners are treating SIBO incorrectly, in my humble opinion. If you are making those critters hide, they're not going to die, like she explained. So you're on your second. This is the thing is like, I hope you're not doing the same thing you did on your first. That's the thing. What happened on your first protocol didn't work, so you need to change it. You need to change something. So that approach was not good for you. And it also comes back to like all of these, the way you approach a protocol is going to be different for you specifically. So I know people just think, okay, what's the Candida protocol? What's the SIBO protocol? There's not just one. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. And I think that addressing the cortisol is really helpful as well. And yeah, I think that you should make sure that your veggies are in the range of not more than 4 cups a meal, personally, the non-starchy. And you might not want that many if you start eating enough protein, and maybe if you add in a touch of starch every so often. So, if you look at Candida diet, there are a ton of different variations. Some allow fruit, some don't allow fruit, some allow grains, some don't allow grains, some, and there are people who heal on every which way. I've seen people heal, or they claim they've healed their Candida off a high carb diet. I don't know how that works. Maybe it does, but it just goes to show like you're not going to find one answer. Let's figure out what works for you specifically. So those are all my thoughts.
Yeah. Boom. That's all I got. Christina's more the expert on Candida than I. So just kind of let her have the floor there, yo. But hey, we covered all of our questions for the day. And you guys, like, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. We absolutely love you guys and love answering your questions. We just need some more questions. So go ahead and send us some more questions. I know you have some. We see you in the Facebook group asking them, you know. So send them to our email. It is straightuppaleo@gmail.com, or just go to our website, straightuppaleo.com, and there's a little contact form on there as well. It's super simple. So you can go ahead and do that, and make sure you do join our Facebook group, Straight Up Paleo Pals.
Yes. Also, remember, your questions don't have to be about a specific health issue you're having necessarily. It can just be about anything related to the healthy living genre. So, and it can also, if you don't have something specific going on, but maybe you saw something on social media, on the internet, that you're just curious about, and there's just a topic you want us to talk about, send in a suggestion of just an episode. We can talk our butts off, so we can make it work. So we just want to know what you guys want to hear from us, because we aim to please.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you can even ask us about us. Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, this is your opportunity to ask us absolutely anything. We just want to answer your questions and, like Christina said, entertain you. That's our job. So yeah, I think that's it. We just about covered everything. So just remember to send in those questions, join the Facebook group, and if you feel inclined, leave us a rating and review, because that really helps other people, you know, come to this podcast and they can get their questions answered as well. So that's about it. And I'm really sad that we won't be doing this in person for the next couple of months, but we will meet again.
Yeah. We'll be back. Thanks again for listening, you guys. Have an amazing day. All right. Bye.